Hi, this is Angela with Tiny Humble Abode. I wanted to talk to you today about tiny living versus van life living. There's a, a couple of reasons why I automatically chose tiny living versus van life living. Um, One of those is I have animals. I have two dogs. Now I have a bunny rabbit and a turtle as well. A turtle that was found on the side of the road that had his part of his arm, his hand, and part of his arm removed. But also because I was looking at getting married. Like one of these days, I wanted to get married again. Have after being a widow for 6 years, and so I bought a tiny home. And yes, it was more expensive probably than a van would be, or maybe about the same amount of money. But with van life, you're always on the search of a place to take a shower. So you would have to join Planet Fitness or something in order, and you'd have to always be on the lookout for a Planet Fitness to be able to clean up. Cooking is not that, like, I like to cook, and cooking, can you imagine cooking in a van and it, the, the grease from the whatever you're cooking going up all your walls and whatnot. And so I just like that doesn't appeal to me either. So and I did get married, so that would have been a problem. My dogs would definitely be a problem. Um, Finding a place to park, like you have to reserve places to, like, if you want to park in an RV park or something like that, you have to reserve those spots. Sometimes you have to reserve the spots when you're going into a state park. A lot of times the state parks are already full when you get there. And I know this because we went to a state park to fish a couple weeks ago, and the camping areas were completely full. And the day spot is only open, certain hours of the day. Like, you've got to be out of there before they close. So, like, it's a lot of work to be a van lifer. And then I tried to do DoorDash. I know that a lot of van lifers do DoorDash, and I've been sitting on my phone for over an hour signed into DoorDash without a single hit on it. So, like, earning money from DoorDash is not an option. And you would have to be able to earn money because you're going to have to constantly be putting gas in your vehicle. So, I just don't think that's the way to go. And in order to be able to video to be like a YouTuber, you're going to have solar panels and different ways to charge up your phone or your iPad or your computer or whatever you're using. You're going to have to constantly be having to worry about that. So are you going to be looking for a library? Are you going to sign up for some, you know, um, internet that you can get on your phone, computer, and whatnot, like a hotspot or something? What are you gonna do? So there's a lot of stuff to consider. And the convenience of a tiny home, everything is right here. It is 399 square feet, so you get more square footage than you would in a van. And I mean, you actually have a bed that you can sleep in. So uh, and things are cheap as far as once you buy your tiny home. And there is a choice of renting a tiny home in this particular village that I live in. But let's say you live in your tiny home and you've already bought the tiny home, then you have lot rent, which is going to depend on the different village that you live in. Depends on how much your lot rent would be. So it could be anywhere probably between $350 to $900 I pay $700 for lot rent, but that includes my water, my garbage, my sewage. The only other bill I have is my internet bill and my electric bill. My electric bill runs about $85 a month, and my I'm not sure how much I'm paying for internet, but you can get internet from the same place that you get like I have internet through T-Mobile, and that's who my phone is carried through. So it's like a one stop shop. So it works out. And that's the only thing that you have to worry about. So, like, your living expenses are living here is probably, if you include the cell phone, you're looking at less than $1,000 a month. Now, you might have a car payment or something like that, but like just your living expenses, not including food or whatever. And right now, like, food is so expensive and gas is so expensive. Like, right now is not the time to be living in a van with gas prices so high. I mean, you'd pretty much have to just park it. I just can't imagine van life right now. And I know that some people have no choice. Some people are living in their cars. They have no choice. They've lost their housing. They're food poor. And it's really, really sad. And I just wish that people didn't have to live in their vans. Some people choose to live in their vans. They love living in their vans. And you get to travel, all over the United States and Canada. And so, that would be awesome and cool in itself. I think that would be neat as a part-time thing. Like if you had your tiny home or a house, and then you had your van to travel in and live in while you're traveling. I think that would be pretty neat. I mean, I could definitely go for that. But as far as just living in my van 24/7, which I don't have a van, I have a Ford Escape. But if I had a van, I just don't think that I would want to live in it. I definitely don't want to live in my Ford Escape all the time. So, which is it, tiny home or van? In my case, I chose tiny home living. And I spent about $86,000 to get this tiny home, and that was with the setups, the skirting, everything you can imagine. And then I paid about $6,000 in tax because it's considered a RV, and you have to get it listed with you gotta get the title company, the title, put in your name, for the car or for the RV. And so there was that. But now it's done, and now I hardly have any expenses at all. And I love my life. Now I have somebody to share it with. I'm married. I have friends here in the village. We have fellowships, and I go to the local church. And life looks good. So, like, yes, sometimes it's a struggle. Times are hard right now in the United States with the food cost and the gas cost and everything. But I'm just glad that I was able to make the choice of having a tiny home versus a van. I'm glad that I was able to have that choice and to have the money to buy a tiny home, because to rent a tiny home in this village is $750 more. So you'd be paying $1,450 a month just to rent, and it's not even yours. So what's neat about it being yours is if you choose that you don't want to live in this village, you want to buy a piece of property or something like that, you can and move it. So I'm sure one day my husband and I will choose to do that. I can see us living on our own property. even though living in a village is really nice, but the people that we are close to are in their 80s, and I'm in my 50s. So I don't mean close to like as in distance. I mean close to as in like really good friends here in the village. So I do have a couple of friends in the village that are my age, but it's a retirement community. It's for 55 years old and older. So there's a mixture of us. There's people that are like 80 plus, and then there's people that are in their 50s, and then there's a couple of people that are in between. So anyway, that's why I chose tiny home living, and it would help it'd help me if you would like and subscribe to this video if you liked it, and comment. Anyway, thank you. Bye bye.